Hello everyone, this is Volks Languages. Today I'm going to be talking about the difficulties of the Russian language. Many don't know it, but I studied Russian for a year and a half. It was the first foreign language that I studied seriously, and I love it. I stopped studying it in November of 2 years ago though, because I had to concentrate on another language, which is Croatian, but I do plan on returning in the future to Russian and learn it until I'm fluent. Russian is considered by many one of the most difficult languages in the world, and there are good reasons for that. The alphabet per se is not very difficult to memorize. However, there are certain letters that look the same as in English and are pronounced differently. For example, this letter is pronounced as V, this is R, this is N, this is U, and this is H. Also, there are some sounds that don't exist in English, such as sh or u, which is a very weird sound. Also, there are two letters in the Russian alphabet that don't represent any sound, but instead change the sound of a letter. They are the soft sign and the hard sign. The soft sign changes the sound of the letter before to a soft version. For example, the word большой means big. Without the soft sign, it would be pronounced as большой. See the difference in the L. L, большой, большой. Then there is the hard sign, which creates a slight pause and also changes the pronunciation of the letter. I'm not really sure what's the rule in that, I can't explain it, but basically one example is the word объект, which means object. Without the hard sign, it would be pronounced as объект, объект, объект. There is also grammatical cases, which is one of the most challenging things about Russian. There are 6 cases, and to explain them, I'm gonna use the word mama, which means mom. The first case is the nominative case, which is the main form of every noun. It refers to the subject, to who is performing the action. In this case, mama would just be mama, since it's the main form. For example, mama приготовила обед. Mom prepared lunch. Then we have the accusative case, which is the direct object of the sentence. What we see, what we eat, what we cook, all of that is in accusative. In this case, mama turns to mamu. For example, я вижу маму. I see mom. We also have the dative case, which is the indirect object of the sentence. In English, it would be normally indicated with the preposition to, but not always. In this case, mama turns to mami. For example, я позвонил маме вчера. I called mom yesterday. There is also the genitive case, which indicates especially possession and absence. Here, mama turns to мамы. For example, у моей мамы есть огромное сердце. My mom has a huge heart. We can also find the instrumental case, which indicates the nouns that are used to perform an action and also company. In English, it is normally indicated with the prepositions with and by. Here, mama turns to мамой. For example, я люблю проводить время с мамой. I love to spend time with my mom. And the final case is the prepositional case, which is especially used to indicate location, like in the English preposition in, but it is also used as in the word about. Here, mama turns to mami, the same as in the dative case. For example, я думаю о маме каждый день. I think about mom every day. It's also important to indicate that these were only the singular forms. If you want to say moms, then it's gonna change. Again, you're gonna have the plural of accusative, of dative, of instrumental, whatever. so it's very hard to study. The best way is to just acquire this. Another hard thing about Russian is its verbal aspects. There is perfective and imperfective. Imperfective verbs describe an uncompleted action, and perfective verbs describe a completed action. It sounds easy, but at least for me it was difficult, especially in the beginning. This means that every English verb has two versions in Russian. The verb to look, for example, is смотреть in imperfective, and it is посмотреть in perfective. Also, the verbs of motion are a headache. They have a root word and they just create 10 more words by changing the prefix. For example, we have the word ходить, which means to wander or to go somewhere several times. And from there, they create also the words приходить, уходить, входить, заходить, переходить, отходить, сходить, подходить, проходить, находить, выходить, and even more. This can actually be an advantage because the prefixes will mean approximately the same thing in all the other root words, but for me this was always very hard to learn. Also, Russian has sometimes such concrete words that don't exist in other languages that is just astonishing. The number of words that can't be translated and are very hard to understand is just too much. That's why Russian literature is one of the best in the world. They have words for everything. However, despite its difficulties, learning Russian is an amazing experience. It is spoken by 250 million people, approximately in 15 countries, and it is definitely worth it to learn. Of course, not all of those 15 countries have Russian as an official language, but the ones that don't have a high percentage of people who can communicate in Russian fluently. This is everything for today. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you learned something new, in this case about the Russian language. Hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave down a comment if you have any suggestion or question, and we'll see each other on the next video. Bye bye!